He should keep to it. Once he has become proficient in concentration, he can use the remaining 3 postures as well so that he can develop one-pointedness, regardless of posture. Summing up, all these 7 suitable things are things immediately related to the meditator that are favorable to his practice. They can on no account be ignored. The 7 are, once again, abode, resort, speech, people, food, climate, and posture. The better the meditator is able to select them, the more cheerful and fresh he will be, the more free of tiredness and boredom with the practice. Hence, these 7 are recognized as things to be carefully studied and attended to. Chapter 3, Theoretical Background. 2 kinds of preparation are needed for the practice of meditation or mental development, bhavana. First, the meditator must have technical know-how, theoretical understanding. With a sufficient theoretical understanding, he is able to practice along the right lines, without going astray. Having prepared himself by studying the theory, the meditator can decide what kind of practical preparation is needed, and how much. Then he has to put it all into practice. The general theoretical points that the meditator must know have been listed under 8 headings, as follows. 1. What is concentration? This can be answered in various ways depending on whether one has in mind the actual work of meditation, the course of meditation, or the result of working on the meditation object. Any one of these 3 can be called concentration, samadhi. The definition of concentration given in the texts is this: a wholesome mind steadily fixed on an object. In this definition, concentration is considered as the result. The term concentration can, however, also cover the mental work that will give rise to this wholesome mind steadily fixed on its object. Actually, the term wholesome is much more important than steadily fixed on an object, because if the mind happens to be unwholesome,
then, even though it may be steadily fixed on an object, the result is wrong concentration. For this reason, the object used for the practice of concentration must be one that can serve as the basis for a wholesome mind. Furthermore, the motives for practicing concentration must be pure from the very outset, and, as mentioned before, must be based on insight and right view. 2. What is the technical meaning of concentration? Technically speaking, concentration is the firm establishing of the mind, citta, and the mental factors, cetasika. The mind is firmly established because the mental factors coexisting with it are wholesome and make it so established. The expression firmly established implies that the mind is fixed on one single object, not disturbed by any other object, and not dominated by any of the hindrances or defilements. 3. What are the characteristic, junction, manifestation, and proximate cause of concentration? The characteristic of concentration is non-distraction. Its function is overcoming of distraction, and hence the attainment of calm. Its manifestation is non-wavering, and its proximate cause is happiness. It should be remembered that there must always be satisfaction, ease, cheerfulness, joy, in a word, happiness. Happiness is the proximate cause of concentration. For how many kinds of concentration are there? This is a purely theoretical point, really just a matter of linguistic convention, and we need not concern ourselves with it overmuch. The following brief account will suffice for our purposes. Concentration may be regarded as of just one kind, namely, the state of mind which is firmly established on, or it may be regarded as of 2 kinds if we classify it as mundane and supramundane, or as access concentration and full concentration, upakara and anapanasati, and there are several other pairs of this type. Again, concentration is of 3 kinds if we classify it as inferior, medium, and superior.
We may also classify it into 4 kinds, each accompanied by one of the 4 bases of accomplishment, idhippada. And it is divided into 5 kinds on the basis of the jhana factors. All these classifications are of purely theoretical interest. 5. What is the defilement of concentration? In the language of the texts, the defilement of concentration is the state of mind that reverts to sensuality and the unwholesome. This is concentration on the mundane level, which can still relapse and deteriorate if not well guarded. 6. What is the cleansing of concentration? The answer is the state of mind precisely the opposite of the one just mentioned, in other words, a mind free from defilements and worries. Always radiant because accompanied by mental factors, cetasika, belonging to the category of insight. 7. How is concentration to be developed? This is concerned purely with practice. We shall deal with it in detail later and here merely sum it up briefly as follows. Purify conduct, eliminate the various impediments, approach a teacher in the right way, study well, receive a concentration object. Live in a place suitable for practice, remove minor impediments, and then develop the concentration object. This last will be dealt with in a separate chapter. 8. What is the benefit of concentration? The meditator must know in advance the benefit or fruit that will be obtained from what he is going to do. Such knowledge, apart from being a continual source of inspiration, is a necessary foundation, which helps prepare the way to the goal. Because concentration is of several kinds, the benefits derived from it are also various. In the texts we find that 5 benefits of concentration are listed. These are: A. Happiness here and now, Ditha Dhammika Sukha. This is experienced by anyone whose mind is concentrated, but in particular by fully purified beings, arahants, who enter concentration in order to rest.
B. Insight, Vipassana. Each of the various states of concentration is a basis for insight, that is, seeing impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-selfhood so penetratingly that the mind is freed from clinging. C. Higher knowledge. This differs from insight. A person who has gained insight may not necessarily have higher knowledge. Far more preparation and concentration practice of a specific kind is necessary before higher knowledge can arise. Higher knowledge here refers to various kinds of psychic power, iddhi-viddhi, of a wholesome nature. D. Attainment to a supernormal plane of existence. This generally refers to the Brahma world, Brahmaloka. Concentration at all levels raises the mind to planes of existence higher than that of the sensual world, Kamaloka. But merely aiming for the Brahma world is not in keeping with the spirit of the Buddha's teaching, which aims at transcending existence, at completely destroying this circle of becoming. Unfortunately, the aims of pre- and non-Buddhist meditation practices are always being confused with the true and ultimate aim of Buddha-Dhamma. The meditator must understand this point and keep it in mind, because there is a possibility that, without realizing it, he may start craving for and clinging to life in the Brahma world. The danger of clinging is much greater here than in the case of C. above. E. Attainment of extinction, Nirodha Samapatti. This is the highest of all the extraordinary achievements. It can be described as a form of the happiness of freedom, Vimutti Sukha. This attainment is reserved exclusively for some types of non-returners, anagami, and for fully liberated beings, arahants. It is not to be aspired for by all, being inaccessible to the general run of people. There is, therefore, no need to discuss it here in detail. Although this list of 5 benefits was made by teachers of quite a late date, it is of value in helping a meditator to decide which kind of
concentration he is going to practice. Now we deal with the second aspect of preparation for the practice. Certain rules have been prescribed as a guide in preparing for the practice of mundane concentration, that is, concentration by persons other than Aryans, noble ones. 1. Purification of moral conduct. This means giving up any kind of conduct that leads to hesitation and self-reproach. This point has already been dealt with in Chapter 1 under Confession of Offenses and need not be discussed further. 2. Elimination of the various impediments. This too has been explained already, see Chapter 2. 3. Approaching a good friend, Kalyamitta, or meditation teacher and the text's lengthy explanations are given on this point. But all those explanations apply to a particular place, period, and culture, namely that of the country where the various manuals of practice were written. Hence, we cannot take all those explanations and apply them directly to the letter. To insist on doing that would be superstitious and ridiculous, as we mentioned in the very beginning. Briefly, one must choose an appropriate time and place for contacting the teacher in order, first of all, to create a feeling of respect and trust, and secondly, to let him know just what one wants. Patience is recommended. It may even take some months before the various things have been carefully and subtly done by both teacher and disciple. Nothing should be done in a shortcut manner, as is the fashion these days. That things must be allowed to take their course is self-evident. For instance, it takes a long time for a teacher to get to know the temperament of his pupil. He can do this only if the pupil serves and attends on him over a period. Another thing to do is to find out how much opportunity there will be for contact with the teacher. If the disciple is to practice at the teacher's residence, there is no problem, since he can easily consult the teacher whenever doubt arises.